In this video, I want to talk about a visualization called a Lollipop chart. So here's an example. So as you can see, what we have on the x-axis are a series of categories. And essentially on the y-axis, we have measures. So this is you can look at this in one way as a bar chart, but a bar chart with its columns quite thinned out. And on the top, which we are actually interested in to know the actual value, we have a little circle out here. But it need not be a circle. So let's see how we can create this using Tableau. So I've got a very simple data set for this example, and it consists of gender as a dimension and the average life expectancy for male and females in a particular country. So let's see how we can create a viz out of this information. So the most obvious choice is a bar chart. So what we can do is add a category or a dimension on the row. So we have the sex, which is male and female, and we can drag and drop the measure onto the column section. So there we are. So as we can see, we've got an average life expectancy for males and females. So let's tweak this a bit by plotting the graph vertically rather than horizontally. And we can also give a different color to the genders. Okay, so this is more appropriate or more stereotypical, however you look at it. So that's it. So now let's see how we can convert this to a lollipop chart. So I'm going to maintain this graph, duplicate it. And the first thing I'm going to do is to duplicate what we have, the measure on the rows. So now I've got a duplicate of the average life expectancy, and this is how it looks. So the next thing we will do is to enable the dual axis option. Okay. And having done so, we will synchronize the axis. And having done that, we could basically knock out one axis. Great. So now what we're having is we're having two charts superimposed on one another. So let's change things. So what we'll do is we'll go to the first chart and change that to bar. Okay. And we'll remove this field from here and kind of thin the columns and basically thin it a bit more. Okay. So this gives, as you can see, this is immediately, this is an example of a lollipop chart. So let's go back to the outermost graph and maybe, okay, so we have by default sex is on the color chart, but let's basically knock it out and do it once again. So this is how it looks. And we can do a few more interesting things out here to give this a bit more meaning. So right now I'm using a circle, but it need not be so. So let's use a shape. Okay, so here we got a shape. And what we could do is we could give icons, appropriate icons for our gender. So as you can see, this has immediately brought out a lot more meaning. So how did I do that? So of course I was playing around before, that's why I have these default icons, but I could basically go and select appropriate icons out here. Or basically I could also import icons. Okay. So now you can see this has immediately given this viz a lot more meaning. I could obviously increase the size of these icons. And similarly, I could go back to this column and thin it out a bit more. I could essentially, now we don't need the data on the x-axis because our images are so informative. So let's remove that. Okay. So now let's see how this looks side by side. So let's go to and create a new dashboard. I'll put a vertical object there, layer, and just stack these up vertically. I guess this is an entire view output. Let's see if we can change that. But first, let's hide this and let's go into presentation mode. So that's one way, but I'm not too happy. So let's kind of view it in standard mode. So let's do that. So let's kind of standard mode here and standard mode there, and also just knock off these sheet 1 and sheet 2. Right, so there we have it. Our lollipop chart on the right and our bar chart on the left. So as you can see, it didn't take us a lot of effort to do so, but it is much more informative. It's much more visual, the lollipop chart. So It's your call what you want to use. A bar chart is much more common, people recognize that, but a lollipop chart is really not that different. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, or if you did not for that matter, feel free to leave me a comment and also subscribe to my channel. It's my endeavor to make regular videos on Tableau. So please do subscribe and leave me a comment. Thanks a lot.